go.
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, my turn. Hey, everyone. Welcome. I do love a cold open. Hi, welcome to Preparing to Podcast, the show where Canadian comedians drop by to chat and share knowledge and talk shit and generally vent their frustrations in a world gone mad. As always, I am Ted Morris, and joining me in the studio,
I'm Chuck Byrn.
and we have a great show this week.
We do. We
We-
do have a very good show.
We have some fabulous guests, including the very funny Paul Haywood, also my former roommate.
Ooh.
Paul Haywood.
Oh, we also have Dave Martin, but he is not a former roommate of
Yeah.
mine.
I forget that I had a comedian roommate because I didn't live in a gross comedy house like a lot of
I
comedians
lived
did.
in a couple of gross comedy houses.
We were grown-ups. Did you had comedy roommates?
I had comedy.
Byrn?
I've had comedy roommates. I have had single comedy roommates, multiple comedy roommates, comedy tenants that were actually renting from me, and a cornucopia, a virtual cornucopia of comedy squatters who
Gross.
just come into town for a month and a half and
Yeah.
live in your living room.
And what is your preference out of all of those?
Squatters, they have the fewest rights, and so that you can treat them the cruelest, and they usually feel guilty, so they pitch in for groceries and stuff.
Sweet. You get a good quality of squatter
Well, yeah, that's the thing.
compared to
You
some
have
places.
Although I did come home once, I came home from 2 weeks on the road, walked into my apartment, and there was a comedian like on my couch watching TV.
Oh,
And
that's
I was
wonderful.
unaware that he was staying at my place, and he had already been there for 5 days.
Oh.
But he was a friend of mine, so I wasn't upset about it. It was Damon Schroeder. I came home, and David Schroeder was like living in my place, and he was like, "Hey, buddy!" I'm like, "How long have you been here?" He's like, "Almost a week."
The scariest thing I walked into in my apartment was Earl the Squirrel,
Oh yeah,
infamous sound man slash
yeah, not an actual squirrel.
local comedian. Yeah, he was doing some plumbing work, and I was not expecting him to be
Is that a
in
euphemism?
my apartment.
Or
My
actual
U-bend needed a plunge.
Oh, I could use a good snaking.
Right?
Yeah,
Oof.
yeah.
Woof. Do we have any new segments this
We
week?
do
Chuck?
have a new segment. We've added a new segment. This is the promo segment where we are going to take a moment to promote either we could be ourselves, I guess. I guess we could promote ourselves beyond the podcast, but we're either going to be promoting our guests that are on the show or other comedians that are touring around the country, maybe somebody that was a previous guest that has a thing coming up. But we just want to do our little part to help promote Canadian stand-up comedy across the country.
Yeah, some people would just include this in their guests like opening and closing, but we're gonna highlight it as a whole separate segment
We're
because
gonna
we forgot to do it with our first 4 week guests.
That's the main thing is we figured if we're going to get them to come by and do the show for free, we should, at least give them the illusion that we're helping them out a little bit. So Paul Haywood is going to be performing on January 17th. This is a few weeks out in 2026 at the Sawdust City Brewing Company in Gravenhurst, Ontario.
Wonderful. It's called Canned Laughs. Or they're gonna raise some money for the local food bank.
Yes, it is both a
Is-
comedy show and a fundraiser for the local food bank because Lord knows people need to laugh and people need to eat. Two very important things in that order.
In that order.
In
Yeah.
that order.
Please
by
don't
the way.
laugh with your mouth full.
And I'm also very excited because last week we did not have viewer feedback, but this
Did
week,
we not have viewers?
no, we had viewers. I think upwards. We're getting close to double digits on the viewers.
Some podcasts like to really come out of the gate swinging. We are
I've-
all about the slow
I've
burn.
explained it before. These episodes are here for you to discover when we become a big hit 10 years from now.
Yeah, and be like, ooh.
I
that's where
want
they
to.
start.
I want to see how the first stone laid on that pyramid. That's what I want to see. I'm not interested in somebody laying on the little golden
Who cares
top.
about the capstone?
Who cares about the capstone? I want to see the slave that is buried underneath the first stone.
Yeah.
Exactly. Much more compelling story. And so that's what you're here for. You're here for the get-go, the beginning. You're the diehard. You're ahead of the trend.
Yeah, you
Front of the
weirdo.
curve. Hey, you're going to be clear of the accident before the explosion even really hits everybody else. Good for you.
Well done. Good
Yeah.
timing.
You
Comedy.
you are going to be a star witness at the trial because you got a good view of the disaster that was eventually going to happen.
Speaking of segments, do we have anything for our most popular segment? We should look that up.
No, no unanswered questions.
We were too full of knowledge
There
last
was
week.
no unanswered last week with Jean Paul and Darren Frost.
No question.
There was no question about that
No
at all.
notes. Perfect.
No notes. No, it's perfect.
Perfect.
Exactly.
Excellent.
Nothing but net. But hang on, we do have I mentioned it, but then I didn't actually do it. Is our viewer feedback we got this comment on YouTube. This is from Jared S. And just to give everybody a little bit of a background
I already don't like
on
this
who
guy.
Jared is and the type of person Jared is. This Jared describes, I'm going to go with himself. I don't mean to misgender him, but follow along and it'll become fairly self-explanatory. Proud Christian and American who will stop at nothing to spread love and truth. Wow, that's wonderful. Isn't it?
Yeah.
Love and truth. I play games and will try to make. Hang on, I'm going to put my glasses on. I don't want to miss even one word.
No, this is all gold.
Yeah, I will try to make content that drives a positive change in the world through discussion and understanding. Read your Bible and tell someone you love them. Now, I feel
like we're going to get some really nice, generous Christian feedback from Jared S.
Okay, and you would think that.
Yeah.
That would be the natural assumption.
Yeah.
Okay. The comment is, old people showing us why the country will finally heal once they're dead. Probably like 5 more years to go. So,
A, he thinks we're American. So that's already rude.
Or maybe, maybe he thinks that Canada is a broken country and Canada needs to heal. And that's the only way that we can do it is for us to die.
That's closer to the truth than you would think, Jared S. We're upset about this feedback because of the truth that lies within.
But when you think about it, would Jesus be a bigger deal today if he hadn't died?
No.
So maybe Jared's doing us a favor.
No, but if Jesus was around in America today, they'd all be like, he's eating the dogs.
He's eating the cats. He's multiplying the fish.
He's multiplying the fish, and then he's fucking the fish.
What am I supposed to do with all these loaves? I'm trying to go low carb.
Yeah, sorry. Do you have any Buddha buns in the back? No, just some Jesus bread. That's fine.
Lousy Jesus bread.
Lousy Jesus bread.
All right, pass the Nutella. We'll see if we can choke this down. Yeah. So thanks for the feedback, Jared. I will do my best to die.
Yeah. And we're gonna give you some feedback as soon as we find some of your content.
Jesus is Lord, and He's raising your rent. Yeah, there you go.
Jesus is landlord.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's what Lord is, right? You're just Lord of everything. You're the person in control.
Yeah, the Lord of the land. You
Lord
can't be a lord
land,
without any land.
Lord of the keep.
Yeah.
Landlord is the Lord of the land or the property, or like Lord is
Gay Lord.
You're the one that gets to dictate policy.
Yeah. Gay Lord is Lord of the gays.
If Jesus is Lord, he's going to be busy with paperwork.
Oh, so much paperwork. First and last month's rent. Ugh.
And fishermen was filling out forms, right?
The worst.
No good.
If it's not a net, they do not care.
Bunch of guys leaving their mark and they all draw the same fish. It's ridiculous. It's really ridiculous. But anyway, those are our segments, and we've mentioned the guests.
We've mentioned the guests.
So I guess we just got to figure out a way to get into the discussion on the show.
I like an awkward transition.
Awkward?
Yeah.
All right. It's like mid-sentence.
Like
there we are. Well, thank you for being here, fellas.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for having us.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right, that's it. That's the podcast.
All right. I got
very straightforward.
Good.
It felt good. We'll fill in the blanks with editing.
I was worried that it was actually going to drag on.
This one really felt like it flew by.
It really did.
It was very snappy. I liked it.
I was
completely off book.
Not awkward staring between the four of us. No.
Best guess so far.
I think so.
So we should get the ribs out then, right?
Yeah.
Totally.
All right. Yeah. So I found this out when we were talking about you being here next week is that you two lived together as roommates at one point. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
We sure
Yeah,
did.
sure.
We sure did. He
Yeah.
slipped in. I always
Yeah.
forget that I lived with a comic because
Hang on, let me savor the moment of the slipped in.
Yeah.
All right.
And there it is.
dirty,
There it is.
I
filthy.
think the word slip doesn't really.
Yeah. We had a very unique identifier when you got home. It was the ooey,
Ooh, yeah.
and you waited for a response. Maybe you'd go ooey and hear some slapping sounds in the distance, and then you're like, oh no,
No.
okay.
Ooh.
Oh.
Ooey's very effective. Very, very.
What years were these?
This
The
is
Wonder
this
Years.
is in case something's going down.
2000s.
Oh, okay, all right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was living with my good friend from the University of Guelph, Suzanne Bartu, Sue Bartu, Bartu D2, however you want to announce that. And then I was at an open mic and Paul Haywood was there and sparks flew.
Yep.
And then he met Sue Bartu. And yeah, that was a better,
And the rest is history.
Yeah.
that was a better match for you.
Yeah.
Now, is that the only comedians that you've lived with? Have you lived with other comics? Either of you?
No.
I
have. I think I have the trifecta. I don't know why it was. I had Christine Von Hagen when her and I were an item, and then Jamila Ross, who was at Second City, and Pete Zedlacker, and I think Jen Robertson was a roommate for a while on Parliament Street.
Wow.
what a
Jen
great
Robertson
apartment.
of Schitt's Creek.
Yes.
But yeah.
It was a great apartment on Parliament. Unbelievable.
Yeah, a former massage parlor, as
Yeah.
we found out, because we would get all these they did not forward their address, as massage parlor people are so known to do, and so we would get all this weird mail, and we had a dry sauna in the place, and every bedroom had a sort of a diamond shaped window on it that people could, I guess, whoever was running the place would just kind of peer in, make sure that everyone was getting jerked off appropriately.
Yeah.
Disrupt.
According to regulations. Yeah.
And we had a fortune teller that lived on the first floor for a while. That kind of got a little bit weird, but yeah, we had it was an amazing place.
I remember
Having
Pete dragging Comic X, we'll say, down the stairs.
Oh, we could say who his name is. He'll be fine.
Sure.
Pete and Dan Dunn got in a scuffle one night. We were having a party, and
you are going to be hearing from Dan Dunn's attorneys.
And you can.
I'd be surprised to hear from Dan Dunn. So that would be my surprise. But yeah, it was a tussle down. And not to name drop, but I think Mike Wilmot and Brent Butt separated the two of them.
Yeah.
And I think Dan had a big chunk of Pete's hair, which I think
Yeah.
That's where it went. That's where it went.
A rare commodity.
yeah,
So you can
he ripped out my hair.
take the boy out of Wawa.
Yeah.
But you can't.
You can't bring his hair with him.
That was also
all of that.
the famous Will Ferrell party.
I don't know. I don't know if it was that party. It might have been another party. I think Pete had one of those, weird auditions on a Saturday that he had to be up for, so he wanted people to kind of calm down a bit. And Dan Dunn was very much like, what are you talking about? We're having a party. And then,
Oh, yeah.
and then
I'm on Dan's side.
Yeah,
I think I'm on Dan's side with this one.
you're pro Dunn.
Yeah.
that's a fairly good mix of like you were both in a relationship with the roommate but a lot of comedy roommates. Because when I started out, I lived in a house with comedians in Vancouver, Tim Nutt, Glenn Wool, Mike Headley. Then I moved into another comedian house, which was Kerry Talmadge, Alan Park, Simon Menahem, Monty Cohen.
Wow.
And then I moved to Toronto, lived with Johnny Guardhouse. But then in the apartment above us was Kerry Talmadge and Ian Sirota. And that house was kind of a... we were like a bed and breakfast for touring comedians. And then
What would you make for
Tim Nutt
breakfast?
for a while?
Good breakfast?
Like it was like I lived in a few different kind of communal group situations with comedians. And then I had, when I bought my condo, I had like comics rent my extra room for me. So that was and that was the same thing. We used to have everybody's head shot up that had stayed in our apartment. There's like our entire hall. We had more headshots than most clubs.
My first pro weekend, I went to that house, legendary house. Wayne Fleming was like cutting the lawn.
Yeah,
It was just
wait,
kind
I
of.
mean, cutting
I
the
hear
lawn.
you're working in Sudbury with Chuck. I'm like, yeah, they're all upstairs. Okay, great. Just awesome.
It was a rare situation that we lived in, like the nicest neighborhood in Toronto, in a very affordable apartment, and the super in our building was also a comedy booker, so all of our behavior was easily excused,
Yeah, yeah.
which is
Oh, yeah.
key if you as you know, a comedian in your 20s living in a communal situation. People are just drinking and smoking pot and hanging out and laughing their asses off all afternoon. And in a neighborhood like Yorkville in Toronto,
It was Yorkville.
it's really frowned upon by the taxpayers
Yeah.
to have these, carefree young people enjoying
Daytime
themselves.
fun.
Yeah.
There was one collection of people that you mentioned that were like, they all are dead now. There's like Alan Park, Carrie Talmadge, Monty Cohen, and it was like a fourth person. But
Simon Menahem. Well, he's dead to comedy, but he's not dead.
Dead inside.
Yeah. All of those fellas are now dead.
I had
And to be honest, I'd rather not go into that.
well, that's okay.
No, not because it hurts my feelings. I just don't want anybody looking into it.
Oh, sure. I had Scott McCrickard was my roommate for a while too, who was like one of the goatee boys, and he did stand up for a while. He's not he's out of the comedy scene now, but yeah, him and I were roommates.
It's like I found it was like an accelerating process for being a comedian, because you're just like there wasn't really any other subject that came up other than trying to be funny and getting comedy bookings.
Mm-hmm.
It was it's like any communal lifestyle, whether or not you're worshiping a comet that's going to come.
It really helped with the get obsessed, stay obsessed, immersing in it. I remember I lived at the apartment with Andrew B., the 2,500 square foot studio.
yeah.
We produced
The first Jekyll and Hyde show.
go in there. It was so big, like the phone would ring, and it's 3 strides on the rollerblades to get to it. 2, 3. Hello.
I can safely say that I've never measured anything by rollerblade stride.
No.
I don't know how many waddles over is that?
Yeah, but it was. You're right. Like that was time to write more, like time to immerse yourself more, or some big hitters in that building.
And also I find you're inherently competitive. You want to be better than the other comedians, right?
Yeah.
Hopefully.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, yeah, it's like a classic thing. If you want to become a better comic, you surround yourself with comics that are at least on your level or better than you.
Yeah.
And there's no point in sort of, being the top dog and just staying that way of just surrounding yourself by other comics.
You need
that
to
are
chase. You need to be chasing somebody.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
also-
we had judgmental partners. They would say something funny and be like, "Oh, you should write that down." And they'd be like, "Are you going to write that in your little comedy book? Are you going to write that down? Are you gonna, is that a little skit for you?" Like,
I think worse is even you should write that down. If you're with a partner and she's like, oh, you should write that down. Write that down. Or have you done that on stage before?
they did eventually apologize and figure it out, and they're like, "Oh yeah, we didn't realize that was important. Sorry."
Yeah. That did turn out well. But yeah, fabulous.
Do you miss that though? Living in a pit of constant comedy?
Not at this age. I mean,
yeah.
I think if I was in my, if I'd hit 52 and I was sort of still living with like 4 other comics, I'd be like, what the fuck is going on here?
Yeah.
I mean, and then then you have to just accept, well, I guess this is it forever. Or kind of, because you'd be like, well, if I haven't moved on yet, or no, I'm glad that I'm not in an apartment with like 4 other comics. I mean, it is fun for a while, but also I never found that there were any huge cliches amongst comics that, as much as we all sort of do stand up and do comedy, we're all quite different.
Okay.
And like some are obsessively clean, some are listen to excessively loud music, some do not listen to music, some some are excessively filthy,
Yeah, it's a pretty good cross section of humanity.
Yeah, just because you just do this one thing, not necessarily everything else is going to fall in line.
And you find your own voice in that original communal group, and then after a while as an adult you're going, I gotta live by myself, I think. So you take what you learn kind of thing, and
Well, it's also interesting because when you first start doing comedy, you're doing it with a lot of other comics there's more comics on the show. You're just around more comedians. And if you move on and advance, you're going to be working alone a lot more and traveling alone a lot more. And it becomes more of a solitary existence than it is as when you're starting out. It's all about getting in with the group.
Yeah.
Right. Well, yeah. I mean, when I first started, it was just, after the show, you're hanging out with other comics. So sometimes, that's who you want to make laugh at the end of you want to, not that you should, you kind of do get a reputation sometimes playing to the back of the room sometimes, but that's who you're going to be hanging out with after the show. So
also who's going to put you up for gigs initially.
Right. Yep.
Right. The comedians are the ones that kind of let you in.
Yeah.
Right. Yep. And you can, in today's market, people are self-producing to put themselves on shows. They just produce a show and they host the show and boom, I'm a comedian, right? There are no gatekeepers if you're willing to do it yourself.
Right. Well, I remember Kenny Robinson once saying to me, it was just like, he's like, do you see how many comedians do you see in the audience? And I was just like, none. He's like, well, then why are you doing jokes for them? And I was just like, well, you got a
Fair
point
enough.
there.
Yep.
But then again, when you first start, you're doing a lot of bar gigs, indie rooms, where there could only be literally 12 audience members and 14 comics. So sometimes you play to them.
There's also that style of stand-up which is very fourth wall. It's very I'm observing myself observing.
Right.
Type
For
of
sure.
thing.
And you're sharpening your instinct because initially you're kind of like, is this funny? I don't know. Is this funny? And then you can kind of run past somebody.
It's not, Paul. It's not funny.
Never. It was never. Not once. Not once.
But you have to find your own voice. And I think that totally helps with that as well. Like you're always, kind of run a bit past you.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah, a lot of sounding boards. And a lot of people there to give you a tag or send you in a new direction.
Yeah, totally.
I did find that being around comics was a very encouraging environment for writing.
Yeah.
As people would hear you working on something and they wanted to help.
Yeah.
Because everybody's just trying to get better at doing what they're doing.
Yeah.
Well, also it's a relief to be amongst, if they're your roommates, it's nice to be able to be like, hey, can I just throw a joke at you? Or can I try something on you? Which is so much better than being with comics and then they just try to slip it into conversation.
I hate that.
Which is,
I hate that.
I was honestly, but this is like, I was at my trivia night. I was about to say, I don't mean to name drop, but I was at my trivia night last night. But, there was a guy who's not usually on our team, but he showed up and he sat down with us. And then it's like, I said to him, I'm a stand up, and everyone kind of in the group introduced himself. And then he's literally throwing in what he believes jokes are. And then it's just, and they're not landing. Like all four of us are just kind of staring at him going like,
yeah,
what are you doing with it?
Or you'll be in a
But
car.
you can kind of tell that he's the kind of guy who always thought he was funny, always wanted to try stand up. And everyone at work tells him that he's funny and he should.
And he probably is funny at work.
Well, yeah. Well, I always say everyone at work tells you that you're funny, but they also are afraid that you're going to show up with a gun. And if they don't say that you're funny, then you're going to shoot up the place.
Tim Nutt had a very good line about this. He said, there's tons of those people that are funny at work.
Right.
And they are genuinely funny at work. A lot of those jokes are inside jokes and common knowledge jokes. Mm-hmm. But Larry in shipping knows this company. He knows the people here, and he plays that context, and he's funny.
Yeah.
But
Talking about stealing lunches out of the fridge, toner.
Yeah, but a comedian's job is to be funny at everybody's work.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah.
And you take Larry out of his context in shipping, and nobody knows what the hell Larry's talking about anymore. It's not funny. Larry's just confusing and kind of obsessed with shipping.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And receiving. Let's give him that. Shipping and receiving.
This guy last night threw out about 3 jokes or 3 attempts at jokes. And then I think he quickly realized, okay, well, I'll just be a real normal person and just play the game.
I've noticed there is every once in a while I get suckered in on one of these Facebook feeds, and in that I'm reading something that I'm not particularly interested in, but now I'm following along because it was presented to me.
Yeah.
And one of this was in a Toronto comedy group, stand-up group where pretty much everybody can comment and become a member, and it's very open. and someone had shown up at an open mic and then proceeded to be like, well, this is a terribly misogynistic environment, and pass a whole bunch of criticism. But what struck me more than anything is I've never seen anybody show up in comedy with attitude that wasn't immediately rejected by everybody.
Yeah.
When you show up, if you don't show up with a level of humility, you're screwed.
Yeah, well, I think I read the same thing that the post that you were talking about.
Yeah.
And it just, and she sort of said in the thing that she sat down at a table with 7 other comics that were all male.
Bravely
and she
sat down.
She didn't know any of them, which is already kind of weird,
I don't do that. I don't
Yeah.
sit down at
It's like-
tables full of people that I don't know.
Yeah, well, just like, well, hey, who are you? You're all here. Well, I'll sit down with you guys, and you'll be totally cool with this. But and then even in the post, doesn't she mention heckling at some point?
Yeah, these jokes are oppressive. When are you done?
But, yeah, which is going to go over really well with whoever you're.
It's someone who doesn't understand comedy or where they are. It's
Right.
like,
Well, I think what it shows.
these are people who don't know what they're doing.
But it shows the people who are taking it seriously that you're not taking it seriously.
Right.
And I don't have much of an argument with what she's complaining about. I showed up at an open mic and there was a group of 8 male comics on the show, and I found the show to be misogynistic. You're right.
Yeah.
The audience was probably 80 or 90% male too. There's probably very few women there. And it was probably a show that just got a little bro-y, or just is a little bro-y, because whoever hosts the show kind of dictates vibe. If that's not your vibe, that's not your vibe. But also, if you're going to be a comedian, you better get good at picking up everybody's vibe and fitting into it, because that's your job.
Yeah. I didn't do every
Reading
open
those
mic when I
audiences.
started. I would go to some of them and be like, "Oh, this is gross. I'm not coming back here." But I didn't get mad at them for having a gross show. I'm
But
just like, this
there's
is
a
just not
distinction
for
of
me.
being like, this is a professional show at a comedy club or a venue set up for a show, and I'm at an open mic at a bar where the chicken wings night is on the sandwich board outside, and
Okay,
and
but
the people don't even know there's a show about to go on. But
okay, but to be fair, I do a lot of professional shows that are described like that. Like,
and I have too.
one of the first times I ever took a picture of how the comedy was being billed of me on tour was in Prince George, and the sign said $5 steak sandwich plus comedy. Right? We were second bill of the steak sandwich, and I'm not going to argue. $5 for that steak sandwich was a pretty good deal. Came with fries.
Yeah.
Oh well,
No punchlines, but fries.
when does the kitchen close? Can I get my steak sandwich just before I go on, and then I'll be ready in my car?
I ate one before the show, and then I ordered one when the headliner went on to have in the motel so that I could, fall asleep crying full.
Eat your feelings.
Yeah, eat my feelings.
No matter what the feelings are, I'm going to eat them.
But I also think that I don't know who wrote that post, but
It's someone that isn't necessarily part of the community. There's someone that's commenting on the communody.
yeah, it's definitely someone who just started.
Yeah.
But I think around the early 2000s or so, there became this sort of a what I would just call and it's the comedy nerd, where someone has not necessarily ever done stand up or even hung out at around comics or comedy clubs, but it's just the internet has sort of created that I can watch and I can get to know as much about stand up comedy just by watching it and listening to podcasts and things like that. Never have actually done it. So there just seems to be a bit of a preconceived notion that some new comics would have showing up at a club and sitting down and being like a weird sense of entitlement of going this like, I think I know what's going on here. And
Oh, yeah. Well, there's also confirmation bias in that if you show up somewhere expecting to be an outsider, and then that is confirmed, and then you can be like, well, this is terrible. I'm such an outsider because, like you showed up in a place where were you expecting Lilith Fair when you showed up at the Bro Down, Ho Down comedy open mic?
I always expect Lilith there. I'm not going to lie.
a lot of hairy armpits.
Yeah.
I've got something to say.
There's
Yeah.
no indigo girls here.
And it used to be all male all the time. Back in the day, it was like a male-dominated kind of thing. And
I agree that it was. I don't agree that was a plan or
Yeah.
that was
No.
something that women were in droves approaching comedy clubs trying to get on open mics, and people were like, "Yeah, no thanks, Sally."
Yeah.
That didn't happen. Every time I've seen a woman show up at a comedy club, the promoters, the managers, everybody is excited to get them on stage as fast as they can.
Yeah. We knew it had to change. Like we knew it had to.
It wasn't even that it had to change. It was that the people in the higher up media, in the radio, in the television, in the movie industry, they wanted 50-50,
Yep.
right? Which is all fine and good, but that's not who's showing up to apply for these jobs,
Yeah.
right? Like you can say we want half our firefighters to be women. It's all fine and good. You're going to be telling a lot of guys that they can't be firemen, and you're going to be begging women to be firemen. That's just the situation you're going to find yourself in.
I'm trying to bite back some comment about hose and hose. It took me too long to get there.
Holes.
Thanks, man.
Just a premise. Premise.
Hose and hoses.
Yeah. Well, I think the other issue with people who like this Facebook post that we're commenting on is people who think that the open mic scene is the comedy scene.
Yeah, that's true.
And like even Now Magazine did it one time. They're like, oh, we're going to check out Toronto's comedy scene and we're going to go to a bunch of open mics. And then they were wildly disappointed with the quality of comedy in Toronto. It's like, well, yeah, because it was amateur comedy. And not all open mics are created equal. And some of them get some good comics on and some of them do not. But judging them all the same
And
just
it's hard to
stupid.
know the difference unless you go.
Well, it's like
Yeah.
if you go to a gym, it's like most people that are like go to a gym often know that everybody who's coming through the door, it could be their first time, at the gym. And also, but if you go to the gym, you watch everybody going like, well, it doesn't look like everybody knows what they're doing. So it's like an open mic is basically like a gym for comics.
Yeah.
You just
Gym,
like
a
head
lab.
down there to the gym, do a little people watching, do you, Dave?
All the time.
Yeah,
That's why I picked out most of them.
if you go to the gym in
I
January,
have to put my blind man glasses on and walk around with a stick just to get away with it.
You've come to the conclusion that none of these people really know what they're doing. Do you give out some pointers? Do you wander around?
like a little Debbie snack cake. You look like you tried hard.
Well,
Here's the snack.
Debbie.
it's like that old thing. I mean, if you like the comic and you care about them, then you might give them a pointer. If you find them just annoying, you'll just say, "Hey, great set," and then they will, and then just hopefully you don't have to interact with them again.
Yeah.
That is true. I have not given tags because I felt that I was throwing it into a well.
Right. Well, I've had tags where I've been like, oh man, I feel like I should give that guy a tag or see if he would like that one line, and then I would just be like, oh wait a minute, I don't even like that guy. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why am I helping?
Yeah.
Why would I do that?
It's a
Yeah.
casual fun help.
Yeah.
I sometimes I worry that if you come up with a good line for someone, that if you want the person to be able to do the line as well as you think it will go.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you don't feel that the person will do the line justice, you might be like, eh.
It's almost like the old Mike McDonald or Tim Steves. It was Mike's line originally, but Tim would say, you'd have a premise or whatever. He'd be like, that's not bad. I'll tell you, you have a week to make that funny, and then I'm going to take it.
Yeah.
So here I'm helping you, but if you can't, you don't do your homework.
I'm taking it back.
Yeah, that's mine.
I miss it was almost like like an English boarding school feeling of there were seniors in the comedy community and there were freshmen in the comedy community, and the seniors were kind of expected to treat the freshmen like shit a little bit to filter out the people that were serious from the people that weren't serious.
There is
I
a
didn't
huge
like
that
that.
is so missing now. There is no madman at the gate that you have to get past. Everybody are these amateur zombies walking around going, I'm professional. It's actually no. And you can tell.
Well, it
by
makes
the
everybody
amount of-
better to have a gatekeeper to some degree.
Yeah, and you'll see these shows. There's like 11 people on the show. What's going on? For us, it was like three. That's it.
Well, no, I was on shows. I mean, I remember the old Thursday night, which was the Pro-Am night, was I think
Oh yeah,
a host, 6 people, and then a headliner doing a full set.
yeah.
And then, but Monday night, the amateur night, was 10 or 12.
Oh my
people
God!
on
What
that show.
at the Uptown Club?
At almost every club, it would be 10 or 12. Like the amateur night, when that many. Now it was also the fact that usually in most markets there was only the comedy club amateur night was that city's open mic night
Mm-hmm.
in the 90s and even into the 2000s a little bit. The 2000s is when everything started kind of popping up everywhere. People understood that you could put a microphone in the corner of any room and people will listen.
Yeah.
The people will listen.
People will listen.
Oh, okay.
I mean, not necessarily a lot of
which is not
They
safe.
won't necessarily pay the cover, but you can certainly, like in today's marketplace, you're going to have comedians. If you put on one comedy night at your restaurant, especially in Toronto, it wouldn't surprise me if you get 15 emails the next week from comedians who want to do a show at your place.
Oh, I've
Yeah.
always said that's the sickness of every comic. We all walk into any room anywhere and be like, "Hey, we could put a show on here. We could put a stage in that corner." It was like this place is a shithole. No one.
Yeah.
It's almost we think about how we're going to set up the room before we think about would anyone actually come to a show here? If
That's our old industry joke. I was like, it was a total shithole. Yeah. Who books that?
Yeah.
How can I?
I mean, there were some rooms that should not have worked, like the Eaton House. When Joanna Downey started the Eaton House, I'm like, why?
Yeah.
Why here? Why this
Yeah.
weird room? Like, why this?
Yeah.
And then it turned into something magical.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I find most open mics, certainly open mics that stand the test of time, are all host based.
Yeah.
It's all about it becomes the host and kind of their social circle
Yep.
that will hold the base of an open mic. And then you have people coming in from out of town, you can have locals coming in and out, but their social circle will keep it alive. And people are kind of part of the reason why you're going to the open mic is you're going to kind of visit that group of people.
Yep.
Right. And that little community at the open mic, the ones that are just kind of cold and dry,
Yeah.
they come and go bing, bang, boom.
Then you get Spirits back in the day, and very similar, but very soon after you hear, they're putting a stage in. Oh, they're adapting to you. Oh, they're going to close it off so that there's the doors.
They're going to not have people
shaping it.
playing pool during your set.
They're going to
Like,
turn the
what?
TVs off.
TVs off. Yeah.
Well, I mean, as an owner, you can't deny it when all of a sudden Wednesday becomes your most profitable night of the week.
And they
Something's
lose
going on.
Was the wing special? We're getting killed.
Oh yeah, they were selling too many wings.
We can't give those
Like,
away.
too many wings, and too many wings are being thrown at comedians.
Yeah.
But then there are those moments where a comic will come in and feel like, no, this is my night, and then they start yelling at the regulars, and you kind of want to go up to the comic and go like, no, we're guests in their house.
Yeah.
You're here once a week, once a month maybe, but these guys that are sitting at the bar that are paying for this place to stay open, don't shit on them. And I have seen that far too many times. And then the owner will be like, yeah, we tried comedy here, but the comics were assholes, or they were picking on people.
Yeah.
I think probably that situation's worse now because everyone's obsessed with crowd work and crowd work clips that once they realize, oh, I don't have any jokes that work, I'll go into the crowd.
Yeah.
And then I saw the best response recently. I forget who the comic was on stage. And then the guy yelled out from the audience, was just like, I came to watch a show, not to be a part of one.
Yeah.
And then the comic was on stage going, okay.
Yeah.
It was like no argument for that. Of just like, well, now I'm going to keep talking to you. There wasn't that moment of like, well, now I'm going to poke and prod at you.
Or
No, it was a very polite sort of like, I'm here just to watch.
Yeah, leave me alone.
We do stuff at the Cameron House back in the day when we knew nothing comedically, like our empty heads were learning, and we're getting heckled like fucking mad. And we're talking to the manager, and they're like, can you do something about these hecklers? It's like, boys, do you like the art on the walls? Yeah, it's fantastic. These are the artists on the walls. So yeah.
Tough luck.
Yeah, they're here. They're here every day with a $60 bar bill and
dollar drafts and oh my god.
Paul Haywood's my first friend in comedy too. I met Paul first mid 90s ish at the Cameron House when there was literally only the Laugh Resort. Yucks.
94, I believe, something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Paul was my first celebrity comedian. I would come in and do the Laugh Resort open mic like every 3 months, and you had like a Zellers commercial on.
Oh,
where
yeah.
you were talking to toys. And I just remember going back to school and be like, oh my God, I saw this guy. He was on TV. It's like doing what? It's like a commercial. He must be so famous.
What's amazing, and one of the things that I kind of love about the Canadian marketplace is that a Zeller's commercial, or for me, it was a toaster strudel commercial.
That's right.
Dave's local resident clip on City News.
Oh,
Yeah, I'm pretty proud of that.
That's the kind of thing that it's no joke. People are like so happy that they saw you in that thing.
yeah.
They're genuinely thrilled. And it's because we don't have
A star system?
we don't have any kind of star system. Like and what's interesting is you see somebody from television in Canada, like a regular day-to-day show, nobody really treats them like they're that big a deal. They're much more excited about seeing somebody from a commercial.
Or you've done that kind of stuff, and here's where you can flip it back around, where you still have that side hustle working with the civilians and the shipping, and they'll say to you something like, "That was really funny." "Oh, thanks." "No, that was really funny. You should maybe don't say it.
Yeah.
Don't fucking say it.
Yeah.
Should maybe pursue." No, don't.
But what's it was also kind of funny about that is that when they do have big celebrities that do come here to shoot movies and TV stuff there, that they like the fact that like nobody gives a crap about them while they're here.
Yeah.
Because the guy who played Hannibal Lecter in the Hannibal series, he had
Matt Nicholson.
I'll take your word for it. So he had a place around Rosedale where he lived in, and he would always go to the Crown and Dragon to play darts on like a Thursday, and it was the night that all the comics would show up because they had half price wings. And I remember him just talking about how
You want to find comedians.
yeah,
Find
the
the
half price
cheap wing.
Yeah. And so I remember him saying, I like it here just because no one gives a crap about who I am. I can sit at the bar and everyone will just be like, look at me, and they'll be like, oh yeah, you're the guy from that TV show. Can you pass the salt and pepper or something like that? But it's not, they don't get worshipped, or maybe, they don't get made a spectacle of like they would somewhere else.
Yeah, I don't think we have the infrastructure to make them a spectacle is the problem. Like, when there's plenty of paparazzi in town during the film festival. There's plenty of that going
Then
on.
they never take pictures of me.
I
haven't noticed them once.
But like like the paparazzi flies in from LA for that because there's finally enough targets in one place to make it a profitable enterprise. If you're the paparazzi in Toronto, I mean, I guess you could park your electric bike in Yorkville and hope for the best on a warm afternoon. But in the wintertime in Toronto, who the hell are you gonna take a picture? Look at that fuzzy face hidden behind three layovers. People are outside for 12 seconds while they're running from the car to whatever building they want to be in.
Yeah.
I always thought a funny TMZ would just be like just following regular comics around or catching them going off to the laundromat, but just doing like the most everyday boring stuff. But hey, you're a comedian guy.
Comedians just like us.
Yeah.
Except sadder.
So what if your pitch is, what if TMZ sucked?
Even more than it already. More than.
Well,
Harder.
people at this point are at least watching it because, they're at least the person that's walking in sweatpants down the street is someone who ordinarily would look glamorous. But I don't think you get that much of a contrast between a comedian going to the laundromat and that comedian having cleaned those clothes appearing on stage.
Yes.
Just the most mundane tasks that like we have to capture them doing that.
That's the entire existence of a comedian is a mundane. Standing on a stage talking out loud is a fairly mundane task. And that's the highlight.
It's funny how accessible stand-up is now, and I don't think it's necessarily it's not seen as much of a scary art form as it once was. Like you don't really hear that much as much as I used to of like, oh man, I would never get up on stage. That looks so scary up there.
I think there's a higher percentage of people who would like to try it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think there's a higher percentage of people who think that they could do it.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I think at the end of the day, people, because I say this a lot, it's the most honest art you're ever going to get. Yeah. You're going to get the review. Every time you finish a sentence, you get a review, and you can't argue with the review. There's no arguing with the audience because they're the judge. They're the judge, jury, everything.
Instant,
right?
Yeah. And then you find too where stand up, you're trying to weed through and negotiate your own career, and you realize, stand up still is the very last bastion of the insane. You still. What do you mean? I can have an open mic for 5 minutes and say whatever I want, and people are going to listen. Oh, I'll sign up for that for sure. Young and Eglinton, the crackpots that would take the sheets.
It's also one of the wonderful things about the amateur night is that you see people that are they've been doing comedy a little while and they're really, really serious about being a comedian. you'll see people that have been doing comedy for quite some time, and they're pretty good at it, but they're doing it because I'm pretty good at it. 4 minutes a week, or 4 minutes a month.
That was me. 4 minutes every 3 months.
Yeah, and
Feels good.
but that's it. It feels good, and that's all they need out of it.
Yeah.
It's just that 4 minutes. I go up, I do my thing, I do stand up. I'm not a professional, but I do stand up.
Yep.
Perfectly legitimate. But you'll also see they're going to give me 4 minutes to talk to a group of people, and every shade of crazy.
Oh,
Right, from the I really believe I'm funny and I'm just not, to the I don't even want to be funny. I just need people to hear these demons.
yeah. Oh, yeah. Are they laughing at me?
Irrelevant. I got to get the demons out.
It could just be the voices in my head I'm hearing, but they're having a great time.
Oh, man. Yeah, completely right.
I don't know if is it as much of a magnet for crazy people as it once
Yes,
was.
as
Is it
evidenced
still
by that
as?
Facebook post.
I think
that was
I
a
think
crazy person.
TikTok and the internet has taken a little bit of the air pressure out of that situation, because everybody can just scream at their phone all afternoon, right? But you still get those people that I don't think they're showing up necessarily for it as a soapbox so much as they want to express live what they're now expressing on TikTok. I mean, like in the same way that you get these TikTok people getting booked into comedy clubs, and then they all of a sudden wake up to the fact that I can't just kind of say all the things I said on TikTok for 25 minutes. That's not actually a show.
Yeah, and then they also realize that their amount of followers are not going to be equal asses in the seats, or they're not going to come back a second time, like the Screech effect.
The second time is I think more of a worry in that regard, because like a comedy bar, they've booked a lot of them and they sell out, but the people leaving the shows aren't necessarily thrilled with the show that they saw, and over time, I mean, time will tell whether or not that's corrosive to the venue or to what. I mean, by the same token, it might not be corrosive at all. People pay good money for crap all the time.
And they hide. They'll say, the clubs will be like, well, it's amateur night. Comedy's not really in the title. It's theater. No matter what happens, you might have some funny blips.
Yeah,
you might have some guy pissing on the brick wall there. That's probably
take
gonna
a
happen.
chance. That's how they market it. Like, take it. You might see someone who's going to be the next big
Hands
thing.
off. Okay, well, whatever you want to do. That's
I do like the Evil Knievel analogy of, you don't get paid for success in comedy, you get paid for the attempt.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I forget who said it with the improv. It was just like, it's not funny that you're in the shit. It's how you get out.
Oh, that's good.
You're in it. Everybody knows you're in the shit. How are you going to get out of that?
Yeah.
That's the gold or whatever. But
I've seen that. Gavin Stevens, I was working with Gavin one night, and you used to have a show with an audience where it got confrontational, both between, like, the audience initially got confrontational with him, and then he got confrontational back, and then it reached the point of uncomfortable, where everybody in the room is just kind of like, this. Nobody wanted to be here,
right?
And this was fairly early, and it was just a big group from one company, kind of being jerks, and a comedian that put up with plenty, and then was kind of done putting up with it, because at some point you're not children. Why are you acting like children? But that's when the show for me got really interesting, because, okay, I know Gavin. Gavin's funny and he's good at what he does. Let's watch him dig.
Yeah.
Right? Because he's going to dig himself out of this situation. And he did.
He does.
By the end of his set, like you would have looked and gone, there's a funny guy, and it just wasn't his night.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Right. But he scrambled and came out with at minimum a tie, maybe a win in overtime type of deal.
Right.
But it wasn't like he got crushed by that audience that really wanted to crush him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just like that deep breath, and he says he's going to dig out. I've seen it before, and here he's dug out of that. That's awesome. Like, no panic, or in my scenario, it was we're working with comic Y, and comic Y.
Say that.
I just drop the name.
Because
Deeply offended Gavin, and took a bunch of time from him, and the comic was just like, I don't know what I should do, and Gavin's just like, how about get the fuck off the stage? How about that? How about that? It's so awkward, but it was just like, yeah, he just, yep, dug right out. It was,
Also, it depends on when they dig themselves a hole. If it's 4 minutes into a 25-minute set, and that's particularly interesting. But also, I mean, if you're doing like a 10-minute spot, and if it gets fucked up at the 8-minute mark, I'm always like, well, I'm not going to get paid any more for the amount of time that I'm up here. All right, I'm done with you. I don't want to be up here anymore. I've proven myself to myself, and the first 8 minutes were great. You liked me, and then now you don't, and then I'm not going to bother trying to get out of this hole. Fine, I don't mind walking off to silence. That's okay.
You're not going to remember
what
me.
was that? Yeah,
You're not going to remember me or hold this against me.
yeah.
And if you're at that point, I always find if you're right near the end of what you're supposed to be up there doing anyway, and you're cratering out, give the crater a great big hug and say good night. Tell the audience, well, I think that's as bad as I can be, so I'm going to wrap it up right there, and give the other comedian that's following you the opportunity to start fresh from your crater, because you spending the next, if you got 2 minutes left, spending the next 2 minutes soft shoeing your way to mediocre is
right.
Yeah.
And you always have to remind yourself that the audience wants you to do well, and they don't necessarily want you to struggle and like, ooh, I don't. So if you're supposed to do 10 minutes, and if it gets to 8, and then it starts going really downhill, just say goodbye. Yeah. Just say goodbye, because it's like, what's the alternative? Just staying up there for 2 minutes and watching you sweat and be in a panic, and it's sort of like, that's what. Whenever comics talk about being nervous on stage, I would just say it only lasts for as long as you're up there. So if you want to just cut it off, just leave. Because no one likes to watch
the same thing about comedy in general, is that just leave that.
Well, but then you get
just leave.
But then if you have to do a 90-minute show and someone's being like, "Oh, you bailed 10 minutes in," then you're like, "Well, I'd have to make up that time."
Different where you're on the road. I was told, do your time, come hell or high water. Like if you're doing great, don't go extra, because I was just killing, and I thought I'd do extra. No, do your time.
Yeah.
Or I was sucking out loud. I thought I'd leave early. No, do your time.
Oh, I've done that. I cratered a show like with my opening line. I was the last comic, but I'm like, okay, I guess I'm going to stay up here for my whole 30 minutes. You guys all hate me. This is super fun.
Yeah.
And the other comic was like, I can't believe you didn't just leave. Like they were being so openly awful to you. It was like, I didn't care at that point.
Yeah. No.
Just being all homophobic, and I was arranging their heckles. I'm like, all right, let's hear something new. No, we've heard that one. It's like, no, we've heard that one. We've heard that one. What else do you have? What do you have about me?
Yeah.
And just played with that. But I'm like, no, I'm supposed to be up here for half an hour, so I'm going to stay.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Make you hate me.
No, I generally tell people, because the question only really comes up was if somebody's opening for me is, do you want me to make sure I do all my time?
Right.
And I usually tell, how much time are you doing? Regardless of however much time they're supposed to be doing, I say, I half that number, right? You're supposed to be doing a half hour. I say, okay, at 15 minutes, make an assessment.
Yeah. Awesome. Yep.
Right? At 15 minutes into your set, make an assessment. All right, I'm halfway through. How's it going? Do I want to do a half hour here? Do I want to do 25 here? Or do I want to get out of the way?
Right.
Because, from my point of view, if at 15 minutes you're doing well, I can relax. You're going to be fine. If you're struggling at 15, I don't want to watch you struggle for another 15 minutes, man. Get out of my way.
There are some people.
Get out of my way. It doesn't matter if the show's 15 minutes short. It does not matter if that 15 minutes is you standing there awkwardly in the middle of my fucking show.
Yeah. And they're affecting your crowd's elasticity at that point.
Somebody should be throwing jokes at these people. If it ain't going to be you, let it be me.
Yeah. How often does the audience want to hear, so what else is going on out there?
Yeah.
And then that's when the comics now leap into the crowd and start doing crowd work, which I'm like, crowd work used to be what you would do when your jokes didn't work out.
You don't have an act.
Yeah, and now it's I know someone who's going to see Matt Rife at an arena.
Yep.
And I'm like, he's a crowd work comic, or that's what I'm.
He's good at it.
Yeah, but in an arena, it's just sort of like if you're back, and I don't know,
there's going to be 15 people that won a contest, and somehow their biography got slipped backstage. And he's gonna. It's a friendly environment for crowd work. Crowd work, most of the crowd work you see, there's small rooms. There's not a lot of people there. It's already intimate. It's harder to do crowd work in a room of 200 people that are drinking and having a good time at a comedy show, because the room itself can't get that quiet for two people just to talk back and forth very calmly.
Yeah.
Right? It works great in a small environment, terrible in a large one. But once you get up to the level of stadium show, you're watching a tiny little speck on a stage. You're really watching a big head on a screen.
Yeah. Massive. Yeah.
I just think it's hard to keep that. The best crowd work, in my opinion, is quiet. Right? You have to be able to hear what that person in the crowd is saying and replying to the comedian.
Yeah.
Which you can't do unless every single person in the room shuts the hell up and the person speaks up.
Which is why you repeat what they said.
If you're good at what you do.
That is like one solid lesson that a lot of people still don't.
Crowd work 101.
Just repeat whatever the person just says back to you. Like, oh, what do you do for a living? I'm a
Yeah.
Oh, you're a bricklayer or something like, right.
Well, if nothing else, it gives you an extra 2 seconds to think about something to say.
Exactly. Yeah, that's
and if you're, sometimes you don't want to waste your gold on a crowd that's not listening. So you might work them a little bit, make a little joke, just see if they can, get a tiny little laugh. Now, can I attach some of my material to that and draw it out that way?
Yep. It is a good way. It can be a useful tool to get a crowd to be quiet.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Is to you yourself get very, very quiet.
Yeah.
Because all of a sudden people notice how loud they're yelling at each other and a table 10 feet away from you.
Yeah. I like to, and I haven't done it since Ajax Late Show back in those days, but I would, crowd's not listening. Fine. Here's a half-baked joke. It's totally not ready for prime time, but I'm going to repeat this like 4 fucking times.
I love it when you do that.
Break your will. Are you going to listen now? Fabulous. Here we go. And then oftentimes the guy will say something. I'm like, he blew it. Here we go again. That's him, not me, man. What do you want? So it's just like,
nobody can leave for lunch until every student lines up. You're that teacher.
But I think it was you. We were working in Ajax, and they'd pay you, and you'd have the money in your jacket or whatever, and you'd get heckled. You're like, sorry, what was that? What was that? It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
Just tap the pad.
Yeah.
Tap the pad of cash in the pocket. Remind you, don't worry, you're good.
Fine. It's
good.
Fine.
Yeah. But that guy doesn't get paid by wad of cash.
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, the other point I was going to make too was just like, and this, I don't know if this happens anymore, but you get off amateur night doing your hot five or whatever, and then you get that gig sheet, and you got to be ready because it's 30 minutes. And it's oh my God, okay, 30. Oh, Jesus. Oh,
but I don't think that happens as much anymore just because I think nobody's demanding the 30.
Right. 30-minute middle's gone.
You can offer if you have the 30, but nobody's demanding it. Oh, you only got 10? Fine, I'll put you on with 2 other comics.
It just actually seem to be a prerequisite that you have to have worked clubs or have to have gotten off of an amateur night that much anymore. Yeah. Because there's so many indie venues, or even like the Comedy Bar. You could literally just set up a show there with zero experience, zero stage time under your belt, and the differentiate between.
AI will build you a beautiful poster.
It sure will. The advancements in posters are amazing, and people don't really know the difference between what sort of show they're going to. If they're at a professional venue like the Comedy Bar, they don't really look at someone's resume and be like, "Oh, well, okay, now clearly you should be here, and we should be going to see your show because you paid." I think also paying your dues isn't necessarily that big a deal anymore either.
No, but I do find that
for other comics,
for the corporate gigs that I'm doing, the proper gigs that I'm being booked at, where somebody's got a real budget, those people are doing their homework. Those people have gone and looked at my clips online. They've looked at my resume. They want to hire a professional. Mm-hmm. The venues aren't as picky. They just are hoping you can get people to show up and buy chicken wings.
Yeah.
Yep. And they know Chuck's going to drop an hour on you no matter what.
And he's going to buy a lot of chicken wings.
It's a long
You're
ride
getting
home.
a twofer. You're getting a twofer with Chuck Byrn.
You got me, actually, because I will not eat them before the show, but I will take as many as the largest container in your building will carry to take home with me.
And I have pockets.
Yes.
I'm like that. I'm like that if I'm ever working on a film set, and then they're like the catering's just everyone's wrapped up and gone through the catering line. If they've got extra containers, I'll be like, it's like the classics are, is it me or the garbage? Well, it can come along with me.
Well, yeah, it will. It'll go home with the caterer.
Two sides of the same
Well,
coin.
no, sometimes they just chuck that shit right out because they can't necessarily, unless they're going to put it into another recipe of other stuff, they can't give it to a homeless shelter.
No, but they can eat it themselves. I mean,
Yeah,
they
they
can
can throw it out in front of homeless people.
One of the best moments is
like it's fresh.
feed their own
Fresh.
children. They don't. I'm not worried about feeding the world's children. I'm
No, just
feeding my own children.
My own inner child. That's what I want to.
exactly. You'd be headlining Halifax, say, and you'd have it's either the restaurant manager having your takeout, and you'd stand in the back of the room and
Oh, it's time to wrap up the show.
my God. Okay.
Yeah, your wings are ready.
Oh my gosh, jerk chicken. Here we go. But yeah,
Oh, Halifax jerk chicken. Some of the best jerk chicken you're going to have.
absolute smurfly.
Is that? Are we still talking about chicken?
Yeah.
right.
That's all right. I got distracted by chicken.
I gotta be honest with you.
Awesome too.
It's
Yeah.
all I really do in Halifax is donairs because I figure it's like a win in Rome situation for me, and I always overdo it.
Yes, you do.
Always overdo it. Like ruin a couple of hotel towels. Just going to town on a donair. And,
My first and last donair was with you in
Yeah.
Halifax.
Yeah.
And I watched you order. It was like double meat, double sauce. And you're like, this is great. This is great. And I had a couple of bites. I'm like, this is something you have to be like raised on or very, very drunk the first couple of times you eat it. And I think you had,
I just kind of just committed to self-destruction more than anything. Kind of it's a gluttonous pile of meat.
Well, the Thanksgiving pizza in Halifax from Extreme Pizza was always like, that was like on the plane ride over to Halifax. That was one of the things I was thinking about.
That's a good
I was
idea
just
for a
like
pizza, turkey dinner.
Well, yeah, no, it was just the Thanksgiving pizza was just awesome. It was like the stuffing, the chicken, and the great, and it was just, and then you describe it to other people and be like, "Ooh, that's gross," and then they would have one bite and be like, "This is the best thing ever."
There's a sandwich shop in St. John's like that. Thanksgiving in your fist, right there, with the cranberry mayo, the turkey, the stuffing. Just like, oh my god! Or the sushi place near King O'Donair in Halifax, that grotto place.
It's all donairs all the time. If sushi's a Vancouver thing. Sushi's I'm a West Coast salmon guy. East Coast salmon's garbage.
Wow.
I'll say
Hot
right.
takes. Hot takes.
I'll look you right in your goddamn Norwegian face and tell you your salmon's fucking crap.
Please send your complaints to Chuck Byrn.
Suck on a smelt there, Spin. Yeah.
And that brings us to the end of episode 5 of Preparing to Podcast.
That was fun. That was a good
It was
conversation.
a good conversation.
It's nice to see old roommates again, I guess.
It is nice to see old roommates again.
Particularly now that they're no longer roommates.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Although he was a great roommate.
Yeah.
He was just an add-on. Yeah. Well, we both brought my actual roommate and I. We just both brought our partners into the mix and had a very fun sitcom-y house.
Yeah. It is a wonderful experience living with other people when without the legal or biological attachments.
Yes.
Yeah.
Any of us can leave at any time.
Yeah. It's just that option.
Yeah.
Relaxes the whole situation.
It's my preferred way of going through life is no legal attachments.
No legal attachments. But if you do want to legally attach yourselves to the show, you could do us a wonderful favor by subscribing to us at Preparing to Podcast on Instagram and TikTok, and Preparing to Podcast on YouTube. It would be wonderful. It's free to do for you and wonderful to do for us.
Yeah. And you know what? Just do it to stick it to Jared. Take that, Jared S.
And not even the Jared that everybody knows about and feels creeped out by.
Yeah.
This is a whole different Jared with a completely different set of issues.
Yeah. Creepy in a whole different way.
Yeah. He's spreading love one wish for death at a time.
Yeah. Whether you want it or not.
It's like Charles Bronson. Charles Bronson made quite a bit of money with that whole Death Wish.
Death Wish.
Remember those
Yeah.
movies?
Vaguely.
He was like the pre-Dirty Harry, Dirty Harry. Charles Bronson.
I know the name.
He
I know
was.
the
He
name.
was. It was when Dirty Harry. They trying to bait him like he was a gruff cop that shot the bad guy, whereas I found the Deathwish movies were much more like a cop who's just kind of done.
Just like I'm shooting whoever
He's
annoys
much
me.
more. He was much more mentally like, no, I'm just going to start murdering people. Like angry. Dirty Harry was more of a shrug my shoulders. Oh, I guess I have to murder all these people.
Do you,
Charles
punk?
Charles Bronson seems genuinely excited about
Yeah,
murdering
he
everything.
seems to be just upset that he has to reload. Like, ugh. This is really cutting into my murder spree.
People talk about the rise of autism rates as the big purge for today's children, but nobody takes the time to remember how often they have to reload.
Yep.
Right? So what I'm saying is don't ban giant magazines
Yeah.
on guns.
If there's any takeaway message from today's podcast, it's really that. Yeah.
And not that any kind of gun control or really America even kind of came up in any of our discussions today.
No, it's just like a quiet thread that runs through everything that we talk about, though.
Well, you know what? You know why I probably have it on the mind is because I got a comment on my TikTok page of someone saying you're forgetting about the unseen American army, which is I think it was 5 million Americans or however many million Americans own guns and all the guns they have. And I said, no, the Canadians are actually counting on all of those armed Americans because last year alone, they killed over 40,000 Americans.
Yeah.
I mean, we don't really have to go to war. We just kind of wait it out.
Yeah. And we have guns here. We just spread them out and they're more for, practical purposes.
I believe Dave and Gary have them this weekend. They're going hunting.
Yeah. They've got the guns. We'll get them back. Everyone's going to have a good time.
And if we don't get them back on time, it's an extra $1.50.
Well,
extra $1.50.
Yeah, 5 million Americans may have guns, but like 3 Americans have 4,999,000 of these guns between them.
Yeah. It's there's a few people that are heavily armed.
Yeah, ammosexuals, I believe they're called.
Ammosexuals?
I think so. I don't want to mislabel any angry person with a gun, but I'm pretty sure that's what they prefer to be called.
I'm just trying to picture it in my head, the ammosexual, and I'm thinking I don't think I can stick my dick in ammo, so I think I'm probably going to end up being a bottom to the ammo.
Oh yeah,
or I guess we're all bottom
you give off
ammo.
Heavy bottom vibes. We did try. We went with like trigger fingers for a while, but that sounds vaguely racist.
Trigger fingers.
Get out of here, trigger finger.
Is the strip show you didn't know you wanted to go to. But it's the one you just can't leave. Trigger fingers. Oh, that's and good night.
Limping her way to the stage. Put your hands together. Do we want to let people know who's coming next week in case they're tuning in for next week?
Well, not after that.
No?
Not after that.
We're never having guests again?
No, we're having guests again. Who are we having next week?
Next week we have international superstar Carla Collins.
Ooh.
And national superstar Kate Davis.
Yes. Number 1 on your program, number 1 in your heart. Kate Davis. It's a wonderful lady.
We're going to have a good time.
We are. We'll see you next week.